Welcome to this complete beginner's guide for the new DJI Mini 3. In this video I will show you everything you need to know to get up and flying fast with the DJI Mini 3 and then back safe to the ground again. It doesn't matter if this is the very first drone you own or if you've been flying drones many times before, this is the video you would like to watch to get to know your new DJI Mini 3. But it's freezing cold outside, so let's head inside for the beginning of this video. When you get the drone, it's gonna look like this. At the front here you have this plastic cover that is protecting the gimbal and the camera of the drone. Take it off by just snapping it up like that and pull it forward. And always make sure to take away that one before you even start out the drone so it doesn't destroy the motors that is controlling this little gimbal where the camera is mounted. These ones, those are just air vents and a design feature. On the DJI Mini 3 Pro you have obstacle avoidance sensors here, but you don't have that on the DJI Mini 3. And to unfold the drone, you take the back arms and fold them forward like this, and you take the ones that are forward and pull them backwards. And this is how easy you unfold your DJI Mini 3. When you flip these ones upside down, you're gonna see that here we have three little holes. On the side we have the infrared sensing system, and in the middle you have a downward vision system that consists of one little camera. When you're flying, they are checking the ground and make sure you are steady. And if you, for example, fly inside where you don't have any GPS connection, then those ones are making sure that you are steady and not moving. That system is working from 0.5 meters up to 30 meters of height, but it works best between 0.5 and 10 meters of height. At the back here we can see that we have 4 LEDs. Those are battery level indicators. And to see how much battery we have left, then you just press this button once, and then you can see that it's about 75% charged. And back here we have a USB-C port. That one is used to either charge the drone or to download the media that is on the micro SD card. And the micro SD card you put into that slot, and that can be a little bit tricky sometimes. You take your micro SD card, flip it upside down, put it into this hole, and then you really have to use your nail to put it in place. And then to remove it, you do the same, push with your nail, and then you can get it out again. And this DJI Mini 3 supports a memory card up to 256 gigabytes of storage. I usually use 128 gigabytes of storage. I can drop a link to the memory cards that I recommend in the description box below. And here at the back, this is the battery. And on the battery it says ultralight 249 grams. And that is because this is a standard battery. That's when the drone is a sub 250 grams drone. There is also plus battery that make the drone fly a little bit longer, but then the drone itself weighs 290 grams, so then it's no longer a sub 250 gram drone. To take out the battery, you just press on both sides and pull it backwards. And then to put it back in, you just slide it in and click it. And then the battery is in place. And at the front here, when we take a look at the camera again, here we can actually remove the front of the camera. And that is, for example, if you like to put on an ND filter or any other kind of filters, then you just hold it, twist it like this, and this front is popping off. Just make sure to only do this when you are in a clean environment so you don't get a lot of dirt in here. And then to put it back on again, just put it back the same way you took it off, and then just twist it, and it's all mounted and safe to fly again. And when it comes to the propellers, there are two different kind of propellers. There is a little ridge on that propeller. On this one's it's not. And that's the same here. Those are the same. And those are the same. To be able to replace the propellers, you need this little screwdrivers to make sure that you bring a screwdriver, not only the propellers if you go out fly and you expect yourself to crash, so you need to replace the propellers. And that is everything there is to the drone itself. Now it's time to take a look at the DJI RC remote. So this is the DJI RC remote, and that is a remote that has this screen included. And up here you have the joysticks, but they are missing the sticks because they are attached here at the back. So just take them off, and then we just screw them on at the front. and then the remote is assembled and is ready to be used like this. Then we have at the top here, we have 5 LEDs. These 4, they are indicating the battery status. So if you tap or click that button once, you're going to see that this remote is fully charged. The other LED, that is the indicator for the connection between the RC remote and the drone itself. And then here we have a return to home button and a pause button. Hold that one if you want the drone to return to where you started, and you can also click it or tap it when you need the drone to stop doing what it's doing. If something is not doing what you want to do and you want it to stop in the air, then you can just press that one and the drone stops. Here you have a switch between normal, cinematic and sport mode. In cinematic mode it flies really slow, in sport mode it flies really fast, and you can actually adjust those speeds in the setting later, and I'm going to show you how. And this is the on off button. If we flip the remote forward like this, here we have a button to take pictures. If you press that one halfway, you focus, and then press all the way and you take the picture. This one is to stop recording the video. And then you also have these toggle switches down here. This one, that is to adjust the angle of the gimbal, aka the camera, if you would like to look forward, upward, or downwards. And this is the toggle for the digital zoom. You don't have any optical zoom, but you have digital zoom. And when you are in 1080, then you have up to 4 times zoom. And when you are in 4K, then you have up to 2 times zoom. And then at the bottom here, then you have the C1 and C2 buttons. Those are custom 1 and custom 2, so you can customize the remote to do what you want. I'm going to show you how to set that up in the remote as well. Here we have the USB-C port. That one is used to charge the remote. And if you take up this plastic flap we have here you have another little port. That one is called the host port. And the host port is, if you look at DJI's website, it says that it's for connecting the DJI cellular module. And that has to be purchased separate. And you also have a little slot for your micro SD card, and do it the same way as you did on the drone. And when you have done that, then you can actually do a screen recording of the remote, and it's stored on that one. And when you're flying, you're also getting a video stream from the drone to the remote. That one is limited to 720p in resolution, so you don't get the 4K resolution that the drone itself can record in. But that stream that you're getting to remote, that one can also be recorded into that SD card. And I really recommend you to have one SD card in the drone and one in the remote, because it makes it a lot more fun. So check the description box for links to those. The next thing we're going to do, that is to go through the DJI Fly app. And when we have this remote, the Fly app is included in the remote, so the only thing we need to do is to turn it on. So to turn on the remote, you tap and hold, and now it's starting up. And the next thing you're going to do, that is to connect the remote to the Wi-Fi. And I would like to connect it to the hotspot of my phone, because then I know that that is linked up already even when I'm out flying and don't have any stationary Wi-Fi. And what the remote is going to do when it's connected to the Wi-Fi, that is to check if there are any firmware updates or software updates to the remote and the drone. So when you have restarted the remote, next time you would like to connect to the Wi-Fi, just turn on the hotspot sharing on your phone, swipe down on the screen, and then you have the setting for example, the Wi-Fi here. You also have airplane mode, mute remote, screen recording, screenshots, and mobile data, but we don't have that because we don't have that little modular thing that we could attach at the host port. Now when we are connected to the Wi-Fi, then we can tap the fly spots, and that's where we can preview what rules and regulations there is where I'm supposed to fly. Just make sure to also check with the authorities so you can verify that data in the DJI Fly app is correct, because I've noticed that when I've flown in Sweden, for example, then this map is not 100% accurate to what the air traffic control has. And this is a typical example where there is a mismatch. To the right, we can see that there is a helicopter airport marked on the map, but to the left on the map that is coming from DJI, the helicopter airport is not even there, and we are not allowed to fly the drone here. Be sure to double check that with the correct sources so you don't fly where you're not supposed to fly. So here, if I go to New York, for example, I can select New York City. Then I'm gonna get a preview of New York City here at the map. so I can see all the rules and regulations. If I go to Niagara Falls, for example, and then I can tap that and I can see that it's a geo zone. For flight above altitude limit, unlock is, yeah, so you can see what you have to do at the spot where you're supposed to fly. Look at the top right here where it says Academy. That's where you can access manuals and other things online. The album, that's where you access the photos and videos that are stored on the device. SkyPixel, that is the social media app for DJI. Profile, that is my profile, so you can see all the data about you. The connection guide will change to Go Fly button as soon as the drone is turned on. And to turn on the drone, we just tap and hold that button. The drone is doing a self-check, and then you're getting that chime as well. And soon you're going to see that this red LED that is going to turn green, and then you have the visual there that they are actually connected to each other. If you, for example, only purchased a drone and no controller because you had one since before, then you have to pair them manually. But because these ones were purchased as a kit, they are all already paired, so you don't need to do anything about that. So now we can see that this home screen on the DJI remote has changed. So now it says Go Fly at the bottom here. And here we get reminders and also information about software and firmware updates. And before we go outside and take this drone for its first flight, then I would like to just go through the Fly My app, what we can do inside. So to do that, I tap Go Fly. And then the display is displaying what the drone sees in its camera. So now let's take a look at the Fly My app. Here we have the back button, so we go back to this initial startup screen. Then to go back again, we go Fly. Next to it, we have the N mode. That is just indicating that the switch is the normal mode. If we switch that one to cinematic, it's also going to switch to cinematic at the top left. And the same for S for sport. I'm going to put that back into normal mode. Here you also get some information. Right now we are inside. That's going to change as soon as we go outside, but now it says unable to take off because we don't have any GPS. If I tap that one, we get some more information. And at the top here, you can see that you can actually unlock the ability to fly without GPS. And that is what you need to do if you would like to fly, for example, indoors. So let's go back, we just tap outside. Up here to the right where it says 68, that is 68% left on the battery. And when we are in flight, I can tap that and get information about the flight. So here I can see how long is it until it's going to start return to home, forced landing, and until the battery is completely depleted. But because we're not flying, we're not getting that data right now, but we're going to take a look at that later. Next one, that is the RC connection strength. If I tap that one, we can just see that it says strong RC connection. Where it's red up here, that is how many satellites we're connected to right now because we're inside, that is 0. And those 3 dots at the top right, that is a deeper menu. So we're going to take that after we've gone through what you can see here. Next here, that is the camera settings. So the top right there, that one is that we are set to video, then we don't have any more settings. Then we can go to photo. Here we can select between single, AEB or timed shot. AEB stands for automatic exposure bracketing, and that means that it takes 3 different pictures, one that is a little bit underexposed, medium exposed and overexposed, and put them together so you get a nice HDR image, so you can better capture both from the dark parts and the bright parts of the shot. The timed shot, that is so you can set different timers between 2 up to 60 seconds from the time you push the button until the photo is taken. The next thing we have that is quick shots, and we also have panoramic, and those are only working when we are on flights. This little button, that changes the camera from being vertical to horizontal. So if we tap that one and you can look here, then we can see that it's changing. And that is perfect for people that are recording for Instagram or for YouTube Shorts or something like that when you would like to have that format. Next, that is to start record. And if we are in photo mode, that is to take the picture. And now we can see that we are in timed shot. We can go to single, and then it's just a single button to take the photo. So here we have the digital zoom. So if I tap that once, we get in 2 times and 4 times and back again. If you hold it, then you can swipe between the different zoom levels. And that one changes depending on the resolution you're filming with. So this is 4 up to 4 times because we are in 1080p. If I tap the resolution and I change to 4K, for example, then we can film in 24, 25, and 30 frames per second. And when we do that, we're going to get 1 or 2 times digital zoom. So that is depending on the resolution you are filming in. And this is where you can toggle between manual focus and automatic focus. And to be honest, I always use autofocus on a drone. Then we have the EV, that is exposure value. If you take it lower, then everything is going to get darker. If you take it higher, then everything is going to be a little bit brighter. And then where we have here, it says storage. If I tap that one, it toggles between how many gigabytes we have left and how many minutes we have left. So here when we are in 4K 25, we have 1 hour and 16 minutes left. If I change that one to, for example, 1080, well, then we have 3 hours and 38 minutes left before the storage is full. And at the bottom right here where it says auto, if I tap that one, we go in pro mode. So here we have a lot more flexibility that we can change the settings of the camera with manual settings instead. And at the bottom right here, when that one is enabled, we can select the ISO and shutter. If I go to the left, if we unselect the auto, we have the white balance. And then we also have the resolution, and we have the frames per second, and we can see how much storage we have left on the SD card. I usually film in auto because that is usually fine enough, and then I maybe just adjust the EV, the exposure value compensation, if something is blown out, too bright or too dark. And at the bottom left here, we have more information about the flight itself. So now it's time to take the drone into the air. Okay, so we're back outside again, and now when we have a GPS position on the drone, we can continue our work to get the drone up into the air for the first time. Let me just put this on the ground. So here what we would like to do first, that is to click to go fly, and then we open up the same screen that we had before. Thank God for electrically heated gloves. If not, it would have been a disaster to do this today. So now we can see what the drone sees. Well, let's take a look at the menu we have up to the right here also. Here we have, for example, the return to home altitude. So when you push the return to home button, or the drone loses the connection with the remote, or there is anything else that is going on, the drone can return back by itself to the position that is recorded as the home position. And here you set the altitude that the drone is going up to before it goes back home. If we scroll down, we can check, we can update the home point. We have the maximum altitude, the maximum distance from us, but because you can't fly further away than the line of sight, it doesn't really matter so much. Here you can also calibrate the compass, and you can unlock geo zones if that is something you need for where you are. You have Find My Drone. That is handy, because if you lose your drone for some reason, you crash into something and you don't know exactly where it is, then you can just go in here to Find My Drone, and if I tap start flashing and beeping, the drone is doing all these things. So you can find it. Let's stop that, stop flashing and beeping, advanced settings. If we go in here, here we have what's going to happen if the signal are lost. I usually want it to return back to home, because if I'm somewhere and the signal is lost, I want it to come back again. And here we have emergency propeller stop. That is only supposed to be used in emergency, because if you use that command, the drone drops down into the ground. Then if we go back to controls, here I would like to use metric. Here you can fine tune the gimbal with all the settings for normal, cine and sport. And you can also set how fast things are moving. And here we also have if the gimbal is gonna act like follow me. That is what you're used to when you see these kind of drones, that the shot is completely stable and just moving. If you change that to FPV, it's gonna fly and be a little bit more like you are on the drone. What else do we have here? We have the stick mode. This is important. That one comes in mode 2 as default, and I really recommend you to have that one, because that is what I'm going to show you later in this video also. Then we can have custom button setup. This is where we set up what, for example, the C1 and C2 is doing when you press those ones. And here you can just, I would like to have to the C1, I would like to have that to something else. So then you can select that a camera feature or control feature or whatever you would like to have. I would like to have it to recenter tilt down gimbal. And then you can see what other features you can change here. We have the RC calibration, we have flight tutorials. In the camera, we can I have to put my glove on because this was freaking cold. Thank you so much for watching this video, by the way. If you like this and appreciate my work, then I would appreciate if you give this video a thumbs up and maybe a super thanks, because I think I'm worth that. So what else? Here we can rename the drone. We can check for updates for the aircraft firmware and the fly safe data. When we are on the transmission, I skipped that one. I always have that one in dual band and then in auto. So drone and RC remote automatically going to use the frequency and the channels that are optimal with less interference. So when we're done with this one, let's go back here. So to get up and flying, we have two different ways to do that. I'm going to show you both. The first one, that is to use this little button here, where it's a little arrow up. If I press and hold that one, then I'm getting this option where it says take off, and it will automatically take off. So let's do that. I press and hold. The drone now takes off and it's going to hover here. And this is handy because you don't need to do anything else. And to land, then you just use the same button. Press that one once, and then you hold this one until it's green, and it's gonna land. It's really windy here. So that is the first way to take off. The second way to take off that I usually use, that is to take these both sticks down to the middle. Then the drone just starts its propellers, but it doesn't take off. To take off, I just push this one forward, and the drone takes off. So those are the two ways you can take off with the drone. And then now when I'm up flying the very first time, I can just leave it here. And that is what I would recommend you to do in the beginning, just to get used to the drone. Just get up into the air, be comfortable that it can keep its position, because when we take a look at the top right, we can see that we have 24 satellites and the satellite connection is strong. Now if we tap the battery up here, we can see that we don't have any return to home because we are at the home position. We have 14 minutes to force landing, 17 minutes until the battery is completely depleted. And then what we need to do now is we need to get familiar with the remote and how it works. So when we have this left joystick, when we take that one forward, the drone goes up. And when we take it down, the drone goes down. If we push it backwards, the drone reverses, and take it forward, the drone flies forward. And then it also used that to flying sideways. In this case, we need to take a little bit sideways because it's so freaking windy. And that is basically how easy you just move the drone around in the air. I forgot to mention that when you're in stick mode 2 and you take the left joystick to the left or to the right, the drone turns to the left and the right. The first thing we need to do when we start flying, that is to make sure that the return to home height is set correctly. I'll make sure that it's nothing above us. Now we have trees here, so we can't really go up here. I fly forward a little bit, like that, and now I fly up. Until I can see the top of all obstacles I have around me, because then I know, oh, that is the highest thing. I have a tree there that is really high, I have something else that is really high. Now I know that, okay, this is return to home. Then I can see at the bottom left here, the height is 19 meters and the distance away from me is now 7.9 meters. So what I can do now is that I tap the button up to the right, those three ones, go to safety, all the way to the top and return to home. And now I know that the highest obstacle is 19 meters high, because that is what I can see. So I would like to have a little bit of margin. So I'm going to set this one to return to home to 30. Then I know that I have 10 meters of margins. And now we also have the different video and photo modes. So if we go in to this part of the menu, now we can access, for example, panoramic. And here we can say, oh, what do we like to have a 180 degrees ones or a wide angle where it actually takes 9 different pictures and then stitch them all together into one photo. If we go to quick shots, let's aim the gimbal down. Remember we did that with that toggle wheel. Then it recognized me. So even if it doesn't have tracking feature, it can do this. So who knows, it maybe comes in a future upgrade, but I don't think so, because that is maybe what they would like to have, the difference between this one and the DJI Mini 3 Pro. So I can tap me, and now it recognizes me, so it knows where I am. Then I can just tap start, and now the drone is gonna start working, and now I'm gonna hold my finger on the pause button, just so I know that I can stop this action if something is happening that I don't want to do. So the drone is now going back, 60% done. I'm gonna stop because I can't see it anymore. Oh, it's over there. And that's how you use the pause button. You just press it and then it stops. And now it can come back. So this is truly an amazing little drone that is great for both beginners and intermediate flyers and pilots. And you can do so many things even without those advanced tracking features and obstacle avoidance features. And also check out these gloves and everything else that I'm using so I can survive this cold part of the year. The next thing you're gonna do, that is to watch that video, because that is the video you to recommend you to watch next. So see you in that one. Over and out. Bye.